Hi, Rowan family. Happy December. I hope you had a good time celebrating with your family over the Thanksgiving break. Can you believe that Thanksgiving is already over and we're in December? It goes so fast. And I don't know about you, but sometimes it's hard for me to believe that it's December. And it's hard for me to believe that it's almost winter and that the winter holidays are coming. Because doesn't every day kind of feel the same? We're stuck in our same houses. We do school and work and play all in our homes with not much change. And sometimes that feels kind of hard. But I want to do an art project with you today that reminds us that sometimes, even when things seem the same, if we look really closely, we will find that there are beautiful differences even in things that seem the same. Today, we're going to create snowflakes. And there's a really cool thing about snowflakes. They just look like little specks that fall from the sky. But if you've ever seen a snowflake, or you've ever caught a snowflake on your tongue, or ever looked at a snowflake up closely, you'll discover that even though they look like little specks, they are actually intricate, beautiful artistic designs. And scientists say that no two snowflakes are the same. That even though they look like little dots falling from the sky, they are each individual works of art. Let's look at some images of snowflakes together. Look at these snowflakes with me. They're like individual works of art. And these are real snowflakes. A photographer caught them during a snowstorm outside of his home, brought them into his garage, and took photographs of them underneath a microscope. Aren't they beautiful? Now let's make snowflakes that are beautiful together. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our paper, which is a rectangle, and we're going to turn our paper into a square because snowflakes work so much better when you cut them out of a square or a circle. So we're going to do ours out of a square today. And to do that, we're going to take one corner of our paper and we're going to bring it all the way across until it touches the other side of our paper. When we bring it over here, this is still going to be kind of up and curved because we want to look and make sure that this line right here lines up with this line right here. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring this. So I don't want to do it like that because if I do it like that, those two lines don't line up. So I know I need to scoot, 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 scoot until almost there. Scoot, 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 scoot. Now this line is lined up with that line. And I can press down my paper like this. And I should end up with a piece that looks like a bookmark right there. I'm going to do it on one more piece of paper so you can watch again and fold along with me. Take one corner. I'm going to bring it up to the other side and then I'm going to scoot it along the edge until it lines up. I'm going to hold that with one finger. I'm going to press and make that nice crease along the edge. And if that's hard for you, you can ask a grown-up in your home or an older brother or sister or cousin, and they might be able to help you with that. So we should have a triangle and a rectangle that looks a little bit like a bookmark. We got to cut this guy off in order to make the inside look like a square. So you're going to grab your scissors, and while this is folded, we're going to cut right along that line. Remember, your thumb goes in the little hole, your fingers go in the big hole. We almost always hold scissors away from us, and we cut along that line. So I'm pinching this side closed with my left hand, and I'm keeping this part on my right side because I'm right-handed. And I am just cutting along that line. This doesn't have to be perfect. Just cutting right along that line. And I'm cutting that rectangle off. We can save that for later. Maybe use it as a bookmark or something. When I open up my paper, this way it looks like a diamond. This way it looks like a square. Now I have my paper all ready fold it in half this way. And we're gonna fold it in half one more time. So I'm gonna take my paper, let me move this guy out of the way. I'm gonna take my paper and I'm gonna fold this skinny point up to this skinny point. All the way up so that those are touching. And sometimes I'll show you a little trick. Sometimes I'll pinch those two together and then I'll take my thumb and stick it in there just to pull that tight. Press that down, and I'm going to fold and make a smaller triangle. Okay, so we had a triangle that looks like this. Took this skinny edge, or this skinny point to this skinny point, folded it over, and pressed. Always feel free to pause the video if you need to while you're making your folds. We're going to fold one more time. We're going to take this skinny point. See how that's kind of narrow? We call that an acute angle. If you're in the upper grades, that's an acute angle. And we're gonna make it touch this acute angle. We might say, oh, isn't it cute? It's a cute angle. Math teacher jokes are funny. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna take this acute angle and this acute angle, and I'm gonna pinch them together. Sometimes I'll stick my thumb in there if I need to, but I'm pinching them down, and I'm gonna press and fold. This part, it gets a little bit thick, but you can do it. I know you can. All right, now we've got all of our triangles folded and ready to go. Now we're gonna open it back up and make our super cool paper. So now your paper is open, and I'm gonna show you the fun technique for making some of these fun designs. I'm gonna use my bookmark as a sample of some of the things we can do, because what we're gonna do today is we're gonna paint with our markers. I'm gonna take, let's say you like that circle paper, so almost like bubbles, and I'm gonna take my marker and I'm just gonna do a few little circles here. Maybe I'm gonna do some using the broad side of the marker and some using the point of the marker. Okay, nothing too exciting, but when I take my paintbrush, I dip it in a little bit of water and I trace around my circle, look what happens. All of a sudden, I have a little snowstorm. Notice I haven't dipped my brush back in any water. That one little dip of water is enough for a lot of your paper. You don't want your paper to get super, super, super wet. See how I did that? Now I can take my paintbrush across my circles, make X's to make little mini snowflakes inside if I wanted. I can add more water and draw some more blue out. There's lots. This is going to be one of those really fun experimenting kind of projects where you can paint with your markers any way you want. So you can make snowflakes inside of snowflakes if you want to do that. Or if you really like that tie-dye look, I'm going to stick with my cool colors today, I think, on these examples. Let's say you just want to make a tie-dye. I'm just going to make some stripes of blue marker, and I'm going to make some stripes of purple marker. Those are two good snowy cold colors. Notice I'm using the broad tip and the fine tip in no particular order. I'm going to dip my brush in, and instead of going across my lines here, or parallel with my lines, I'm going to go perpendicular. Everybody say perpendicular, which means I'm going to go across my lines. And when I do that, it makes this super cool tie-dye look. Can you see how the marker is starting to bleed a little bit? So if you want to, you can pause your video for a minute and just on your extra bookmark, you can experiment with colors, with how much water, and you can make some neat designs on your little bookmark paper. So if you want to pause now, you're welcome to do that. But if you want to keep making a snowflake with me, stick on the video for right now. So I'm going to make a tie-dye. I'm going to make a blue and purple tie-dye for this particular snowflake. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to start in the middle of my snowflake, and I'm just going to draw a circle around the middle. And then I'm going to draw a broad circle. Am I being perfect? Nope, not in the art room. Then I'm gonna draw a wiggly circle, and then I'm gonna draw a broad wiggly circle. I'm just kind of like, you know, when you go to Target, how you have circles inside of circles inside of circles. That's kind of what this looks like. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with my purple. I'm gonna start in the middle again. I think I'm gonna make a wiggly circle here, and then I'm gonna make a regular circle here. And then between these two blue squiggles, I'm just gonna make a big purple circle here using the broad side of my marker, right? Nothing fancy. But then watch what happens when we dip our brush in the marker. I'm gonna start in the middle, and I'm gonna go from the middle all the way out that fold line. I'm gonna do the same on all of my fold lines. I'm gonna start in the middle, and I'm gonna draw the water all the way out to the edge. Can you see how it's starting to make that cool tie-dye design? And as long as my brush is still wet, I'm just barely dipping my brush back in the water just to keep it a little wet. We don't want any soggy pools. There's kind of a lot of water there. So now that I've gone across all of my fold lines, I'm gonna keep that up. Oops, I haven't gone across all my fold lines. I have a fold line here, and I have a fold line here. Now I'm gonna keep that up by making these same long strokes between the strokes I've already made. So I'm gonna do another one here, starting in the center, moving out. Starting in the center, moving out. Starting in the center, moving out. I'm gonna just keep doing that all the way around. And you can watch me do that while you create your own. Okay, so I'm done making my tie-dye here, and you can see by the shine on my paper that it's still a little bit wet, and that's okay because it's going to increase our tie-dye look even a little bit more. I'm going to fold my paper back like it was. Oh, I guess we had it folded this way first. Ooh, look at that. So we had it folded as a triangle first, and then we had it folded this way. And you'll see as you fold your paper, it still feels a little bit damp and it might be a little bit fragile, and that's okay. We're just gonna be careful with our snowflake. We're still gonna cut it even though the paper is damp on the inside. Now I'm gonna hold my paper, my little triangle, so that I have one of the acute angles down here, one of the smaller triangles, and then the one that has 3 prongs up here, I'm gonna keep that one away from me. We're gonna call this one the center triangle and this one the edge triangles. Holding this, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a shape out of this triangle. And most of my shapes today are just gonna be other little triangles. So I'm gonna take my scissors pointing away from me, and I'm gonna cut one cut there and one cut to meet there, and I'm gonna just cut that like I made a little diamond. I'm gonna cut that and I'm gonna set it aside. Now, I have this folded side, this with the 3 folds, and then I have this up here that has lots and lots and lots of pieces on it. This is going to be our edge, and these are going to be in the middle. So let's go ahead and cut from this side. Flip it over so that this side, if you're right-handed, is on your right side. If you're left-handed, is on your left side. And all we're going to do here is cut out any kind of wiggly line all the way up the edge. Maybe you make little bumps, maybe you make wiggles, maybe you cut little triangles out of the edge, but we're going to cut up this whole side. Let's double check and make sure that we have the right side first though. We want to make sure that it has all the layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Should have 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. So the one that has 8 layers on it, we're gonna go ahead and cut a design. I think I'm gonna do just curvy bumps. See, now what am I doing? I am turning the paper with my hand and not really turning my scissors. Okay, so I'm cutting all of those pieces off and setting them aside. Now we haven't touched this side, which is our big center fold, and we haven't touched this side, which has our 3 folds. And I'm going to give you a challenge for both. On each one, I want you to cut a big shape out of each side. You can just cut a big triangle. 1, 2. Sometimes when I cut a triangle out of my snowflakes, they get stuck right there, and I can pinch and pull and they come out. You could also cut a half circle. If I turn, notice my scissors are staying pointed away from me, and I'm turning my paper, and I maybe even got a little bit of a heart out of that one. Now let's cut 2 shapes out of this side. And when we cut, we just want to make sure that we don't cut all the way through so we lose that awesome edge. So I'm going to cut kind of a wide triangle out of this side here. Wiggle, wiggle, pull. I'm just going to cut, let's see, maybe I'll cut a rectangle out of this one here. Okay, so we did 2 shapes out of this side. We did 2 shapes out of that side. We did 1 shape out of that bottom. And then we did some bumps along the edge. Now for the fun part. Now is when we get to open it up and see what our snowflake looks like. But be very careful. Because we're working on paper that's a little bit wet, it's gonna stick together, and if we pull it apart too quickly, it's gonna rip. But here's the good thing. Remember how we have tape inside of our art bag? If we rip our snowflake, no big deal, we can always tape it back together. But let's try not to rip it. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna open gently, this side like a book. Ooh, that kind of looks like a transformer face or something. Then I'm going to come and find another place, and very gently pull it apart. Ooh, it's starting to look awesome. Now here's the part where we want to be the most gentle. This is where our paint surfaces are facing each other and are sticking together. And so we're very, very gently, see, I'm moving my hands where it's sticking and very, very gently pulling it apart. Let's see, very gently. So it's kind of cool when the paper was wet, it allowed some of the ink on some parts to share with the other side. Very gently opening this up. Ooh, look at that. And now you can smooth it all out. Now I've got some places that are pretty thin. I need to be careful as I'm smoothing them out so they don't rip. But remember, if they do rip, you can always tape them back together. And there we have our tie-dye snowflake. Pretty awesome, huh? This is a project that anybody of any age can do, and I had so much fun doing them that I ended up taping them up in my windows around my house, choosing different colors. You can do them over and over and over again with really any kind of paper. You can use newspaper, you can use junk mail, you can use school paper, you can use lined paper, anything you want. And you can always cut different shapes out of each section and experiment to see what kind of snowflake you get. That's pretty fun. I hope you had fun making snowflakes with me. And now I'm going to give you a 2-part snowflake challenge. Part number 1 is to make some more snowflakes. And you can tape them to your window, but don't tape them to your walls without a grown-up's permission. You can hang them from your ceiling with thread or dental floss. Fill your house with snowflakes and make it a winter wonderland. So that's my challenge number 1. My challenge number 2 is to realize or to know that you are like a snowflake. And you might be giggling, you might think you're not like a snowflake, but what I mean by that is that you are very special. and very unique. And there are parts of you that are so beautiful and smart and individual and creative and funny and all the things that maybe you don't realize that they're there. So I want you to look in the mirror at yourself, just like that scientist did at the snowflakes, and see if you can find those beautiful parts. And I guess I'm going to give you a 3-part challenge. So not only when you're looking at yourself in the mirror brushing your teeth at night do I want you to see how amazing you are, but I also want you to look at the people around you. The family members that are in your home right now, maybe friends that you meet up with on Zoom, and I want you to look closely at them and see if you can find special and unique things to appreciate about each of them. We might just look and say, oh, that's just my family, it's just my friends, I see them all the time, I see them every day. But just like they're snowflakes, if we look closely at them, I bet we're gonna find some really special things. So make some snowflakes, realize that you are a snowflake, and then look at others the same way that the scientists look at snowflakes. You're all incredibly special. And I'm so thankful for the privilege of drawing together with you even when we're apart.